And as you just tune into your breath, your place in space, the weight of your body, the orientation of your bones, the full surface of the foot, and the release of tension that's unnecessary, wherever you find it. Whether it's in your feet and your toes can relax, or maybe the ankles, allowing some bend in the knees if they're locked. Finding that nice neutral pelvis with the heavy kangaroo tail. It's kind of like imagining you have a heavy tool belt around your hips and feeling that sense of weight grounding you from the hips. And then everything above starting to lift with the breath upward. And noticing any impact that might have on the breath. Feeling the weight of the arms. Maybe even aware of how the blood feels through the fingertips. And just noticing the shoulder blade area, the neck, and the head poised atop. Feeling or sensing that plumb line through the body, right through the center. And then releasing any tension from around the face, particularly around the eyes, the jaw. And again, noticing any response if there is one in the breath and allowing that to be free. And one of the things we search for in these crazy times is this mountain pose, Tadasana. Our steady, strong stance, no matter what's happening around us. So just take a few more breaths here and feel that steadiness, that rootedness. The calm in the storm. Lovely. We're going to return to this a little later, but for now, go ahead and come seated. And what we're going to do is we're going to sit with our legs crossed and hold our knees into our chest. I know everybody will have a different capacity of comfort here. So one thing to notice is if you are rounding through your spine or through the back or really having to pull at the arms to keep yourself sitting up, then it's best to put a blanket or pillow under your butt. Okay. So wrapping your arms around, I just want you to allow yourself to arch and curl the spine. So you might want to start from the lower back and allow one vertebra at a time to kind of roll back into the space behind you. And just note how everything follows until you're rounded. And then come back the other way. So starting either with the head or the neck, coming through chest and then down on the spine until you are open-chested forward. Same thing a few times at your own pace. So I'm going to turn this way so you can see. So I'm rounding through the spine, slowly one vertebra at a time, and then coming back. And so there's a lot of effort here. I'm sure you're feeling your core because it takes the core to support you as you come through and up. Now, if you notice tension collecting in the groin as you come up, see if you can really use the arms around the knees and the knees pressing into the arms to release that groin area. Good. So I'm just going to check in on how it looks here. Good. And really use that sense of the core. Really tap into the strength in that middle region in both directions. And then just feel free to hold anywhere. If you use your knees against your arms as you fall back, you can get more of a stretch through the back tissue. And then as you kind of wrap your arms and bring your knees in towards your chest as you come up, you can kind of use the weight of your lower body to empty out that core space and bring that tissue inward and upward toward the ribs. And yes, it takes a lot of inner strength and back strength. And then you can pause and come into stillness. You can release your legs, just take a moment. If there's any kind of shaking out or anything you want to do in between before we go on. And just noticing how that felt, where you have heat in your body, any sensations. We're going to sit kind of back on our hands with the legs separated. And we're just going to do a little windshield wipers with the hips and knees. So just rolling the surface of the feet from edge to edge, starting slow and not going to your full range of motion right away, just kind of warming up and feeling how the hips feel. Notice there might be a tendency for the body to kind of scoot away from itself as we do this. So you might have to bring your arms a little closer. And then as you start to warm up, you can start to put a little more emphasis on that top leg to push away. It's like this top hip pushes forward. And that knee moves away from the body. And one of the things you can feel for here as you're moving is what's happening through the waist. And again, the core. There's this kind of ringing out through the middle. And as you come into center, you can feel more of that empty core. And then as you twist, more of that leg reaching away, that knee reaching away. You can kind of ground into that ground in front of you, the floor in front of you. Okay, and then you can keep doing this if this is enough for you. If you want a little more challenge, then you can start to come up with your arms and move side to side, each time just letting go of the floor as you come around. So you end up in a Z sit. Yeah, so the back leg should be more behind you. There you go. Yep. You feel that more?
Yeah, yeah.
Good. Okay. All right. And the other thing that you can add if you want to, but you don't need to, it can be nice to kind of back bend behind you as you come forward. So we're pushing this hip forward, and then you can kind of back bend and arch into it. And that might be done with the free arm, using that back arm to support you. And don't worry, like, you know, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? It's always about the sensation you feel. So just explore your own body and try to find places of sensation that might be new. And then you can come back, settle back into center. Let's just have the legs forward for a moment. Go ahead and rotate your ankles. Get your toes in there too, just kind of wiggle the toes. And then switch direction. Pointing and flexing. Just notice as you do how the muscles might actually lift the calf a little bit. Okay, so we already did this little cat-cow thing here with our legs crossed. This time, if you can sit with your legs in easy pose, that would be great. If you can't, you're probably going to need a chair so that you have free spinal movement. It might be harder if you have your legs in front of you. So I would say either a chair or easy pose, and you can grab that. So again, remember that if you're in easy pose and you're like this, rounded through the spine, that's not going to help you. So you're going to need to lift your hips, okay? So we don't want this, we want this, okay? So First, you can just make some circles at the hips and just feel through how the side of the body feels. Really get in touch with the weight of the sit bones as you move from right to left. And also just tune into the breath as you move. So maybe you inhale as you come back and around, exhale forward, or maybe the reverse, whatever works. And then reversing the other way. Good, and then coming back to a centered place. So I want to work with Uddiyana Bandha, which is every time I tell you to suck in that core material and bring it upward, that is Uddiyana Bandha, which a bandha is a lock, and it locks energy or prana in a certain location in the body. And it just also happens that the Uddiyana Bandha is responsible for most of our support in almost every posture. So what I'd like you to do is go ahead and feel again, rooted through the sit bones. And as you relate to the ground through the sit bones, I want you to breathe in such a way that you open the tissues of the back towards the back space. So I might exaggerate the movement, but it's very subtle. And I want you to just kind of close your eyes if you can and try to feel, as you breathe, the breath moving into the tissues of the back and kind of opening that tissue. And notice as you do that, as you inhale and open to the back, it creates some space in the front. And you might let go and then come back to it. This is part of the new way of practicing. It's very internal, it's very deep, and it's start and stop at your own pace. Okay, and so as you open the tissues of the back towards the back space, there's also this, as you fill the lungs, there's also this opening forward. So I want you to feel this opening back, and at the top of the breath, this opening forward. Maybe even the shoulder blades open and come towards each other to the back. So we've got movement back and we've got movement forward, and just notice what's happening through your core as you do that. The other thing that you can do is really use the pressure of your hands on your knees to lift yourself. There's this wave that's happening in the body, in the spine. So the wave starts from the bottom where the hips are, the lower back. As you breathe into that back space, the wave ripples up the spine and you feel the opening of the chest. It's cat-cow. It's what we do all the time. We're just slowing it down and making it a lot more conscious, less mechanical, and more driven by the breath. So the wave comes from the bottom, moves up the spine into the chest as the chest opens forward, And as you press your hands into your knees, you feel that lengthening upward through the spine, upward through the crown of the head, outward through the chest. And all this material of the core comes in. Good. So just explore that a little bit more on your own. You're welcome to take a break if it feels like, oh my gosh, too much. And yeah, the other thing you can explore here is feeling equal weight in your body. One of the tendencies is to pull upward on the knees. Rather than pull upward on the knees with the hands, let the hands and knees push against each other downward. Good. See if you can feel equal weight left to right. And let that wave, that ripple happen through the body as you breathe. From here, we're going to explore a little twisting. So, as you move that tissue backward and breathe into the back space and empty out and press down through the hands, as you feel that space created in the front through the core, that's what's going to allow you to start to twist. So rather than just cranking ourselves right to left, it comes from creating the space through that core area. It comes from that ripple, that wave. When you're ready, you can just grip your hands together and place them over one knee. That's automatically going to start your twist, right? But then try to find that same feeling of opening to the back and letting that ripple happen through the spine. When you reach the top of that ripple, that's when you can go deeper into your twist. And yes, this takes effort and strength. And you can make it less effortful by anchoring that knee and hand. And then just breathing in and out, feeling the rib cage expand and contract. And on the exhale, when it empties, that is what's propelling you back to neutral. Okay, shaking it out if you need to. When you're ready, just taking the hands to the other side. And then again, finding that ripple, starting with the lower back, moving into the back space as you breathe. Letting that wave happen when you feel the emptying of the belly or core. That's when you can start to twist deeper. Stay connected and rooted to the ground. Let your knees go. We don't want to be holding up at the groin. We want the legs to rest downward. Use the hands, push into that knee and resist a little bit with the knee back. Breathe and feel the space between each rib. And then you can release, exhale, come back. Very good. Okay. So let's come on to the knees if that's comfortable. If it's not comfortable, you can be on all fours. And we're just going to kind of rock from one knee to the other. So if we put our knees in shoes right now, we look like little dwarfs. So what I'd like you to feel here is what's happening through the body box. You know, we've got the 2 shoulders, 2 hips, and the box here. So just notice what's moving and how. Now, if we walked like this, we would be quite silly. And yet some people kind of do walk like this. So what I'd like you to do now is we're going to start to work with that cross. Okay, so opposite knee to hip. So as you lift your left knee, your right shoulder will come forward, and vice versa. So now look how different this looks and feels. So it's opposite shoulder coming forward with the opposite knee, sorry. Yeah, good. So it's kind of like this, you know, if we were running, which you could do with your hands if that makes it easier. Or just different. And then what I'd like you to do, we're going to do a little balancing on one knee. So this is at your own pace and for however long you like and in whatever way you like. You can keep the other leg on the ground to an extent, or you can completely lift and then just try to balance on one knee. Not easy. And just try both sides a few times. One side might be easier than the other. Yeah. Oh. Okay. And just go to the other side. So do each side maybe twice. And notice how your side, the side body feels. It's a lot of, for me anyway, maybe not for everybody, but a lot of side body work. And then you can rest back in whatever position is comfortable. Take a few deep breaths and just notice whatever sensations you feel in your body. And then bring to mind that yama of ahimsa, non-harm. Just take a moment to consider from this moment how that applies to you. Okay, so we're going to come onto all fours. So from here, what I want you to think about is what we were doing with the core a moment ago with the wave. And use that as part of your cat-cow. So instead of just cranking the body like a machine, I want you to find your breath and breathing into the back space as you round the back into space behind you with the inhale, or the exhale rather. And then allow the spine to ripple as you breathe in and bring the chest forward. So notice as you do this that you can and should be engaging the core, bringing everything inward towards the center line as you arch, And then as you let go and through, you're kind of opening everything from the center back. So it's like this closing and opening. And it's okay to shift your weight, to allow your weight, maybe more your tail to lead back a little. And then as you come forward, to come more onto the hands. So just notice how this is happening for you. Looks good, Jackie. Nice. Good. And what I'd like you to do is just start to feel that core as you move into that arch. And without going there yet, just imagine that you were going to go into down dog. And feel how that core is what will bring you there. It's what will lift or help to lift your hips into the air. When you feel like you've connected to that sensation, then you can turn your toes under and press back into down dog. Good, nice, yes. Excellent, so feel that emptiness through the core and how the core is kind of pouring into the rib cage and chest. There's space between your belly and thighs. You can come down at any time or hold. Feel the length of the spine from the tailbone through the crown of the head. Very nice. Tailbone to heels. The heels don't have to touch. You can bend your knees. Breathe. Good. Go ahead and rest in child's pose for a moment. And just notice your child's pose. Do you have your hands in front of you? Do you have them alongside the body? Are your knees together or apart? Can you breathe freely? Do you need to readjust? Take a few deep breaths. And then whenever you're ready, you can start to either push with your hands up or just round up through the spine. And we're going to do an exploration with lunges. If you have blocks, you might want to grab those and have those handy. I'm going to actually use a chair, so you can also just grab a chair and just have it near you. I'm going to get you a chair too, Jackie. So you'll just want the chair just ahead of your body a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so just have the hair, have the hair off to the side. Have the chair off to the side so that when you lunge forward, you can lean and rest on the chair. So you might have to reposition it as we go. And so we'll start with whatever leg is on the same side as your chair. So we don't have to be working the same side, it's fine. So what you'll want to do is just come into a standing position and then back. And just notice for yourself what it takes for you to lift, where you feel it in your legs to even come up. And then also notice how you have to lift your leg to get your foot forward. So this was all when we were doing this funny stuff on the knees, okay? So taking the knee as far forward as is comfortable and making sure that your knee is no further than your toes when it comes to bending forward. So from here, you might have to pull the chair a little closer. Go ahead and lean into the chair to add some support, to take some pressure off even the knees perhaps, and allow this back hip, rather than to bend back, bring it forward. And then you can hold here and just breathe. If it's too much on the knees, you can roll up a blanket. Are your knees okay?
No, my knees are fine.
Okay. You can roll up something and put it under your knees. So we always want to, when we're in this position, we want to continue to just be aware of what's happening through this back hip. Bring it around to the front and drop it towards the floor. If you're comfortable and you want to bring your hands to the ground in front and let go of the chair, that's fine. Chair's there if you need it. And because we're going to use it again. Okay, so coming back up now, and then free-handing it just to bring that leg back. Okay, good. So what I'm going to show you now, it's like I want you to feel free to take your time and kind of do your own thing with this. So I might be shouting out things, just do what you're doing, or take on the next step. So what we're going to do, we're going to come forward again feeling the shift of weight, bringing that foot forward, leaning towards the chair, maybe a little more this time, so that you actually feel a little bit of a twist through the waist. So it's almost like using the chair to look behind you the other way. And then you can either stay there or you can come around to the front. Just bring your hands around to the other side. And just notice where you might feel that. Through the inner thigh, the front leg. And then back around to either the chair or to the floor in front of you, if you like. having the hands on the inside of that front foot. From here, if you like, you can start to explore bringing up that back knee, optional. And if you do bring up that back knee, see what it's like to reach away from your body with the heel. And then just check to see that you're not locking your arms, that you're still aware of your core, still aware of that back space of the body being able to breathe. Good, and then coming down. And leaning your weight back, extending that front leg for a runner's stretch. And using the blocks or the chair for support in any way you want. And we're going to hold here for about a minute. As you relax, if you want, you can bring your hips back to sit on your back leg. But that's optional. You can just stay up. Okay, so if your leg is up, then you can just fold that leg in back to all fours. If you're on the back leg, then swing that leg around to the front to come out. And again, point flex, shake the legs out, and notice any difference in sensation from right to left. Okay, and then when we're ready, we'll go to the other side. So just orient your chair the other way. Okay, so we'll start on our heels. Okay, and then when you're ready, first just coming up to your knees and noticing what it takes through the thighs. Noticing if there's any compression in the lower back. And then we're going to be taking that leg by the chair forward and feeling again what it's like to lift the whole body and bring that leg under and around. And it's okay if you need to, kind of shift over to get it forward, whatever you have to do. And you can keep exploring that, just coming into that lunge, or you can hold the lunge and lean into the chair. So I'm just going to do this a few more times because I feel like I need it. Okay. So again, remember to bring the hip of the back leg forward, around to the front, and down. So we're sinking everything forward and down. Breathe. Breathe and note for yourself if it's too deep, you might have to come back out a little bit. Check in with your knees. Maybe this side wants blankets under it. Good. And then if you can, take your hands to the floor or want to. Or maybe to blocks, which would be a little lower than the chair. Coming back up. And back to kneeling or sitting on your hips. Taking a moment and then we'll go back in. Okay. So start with a breath. Feel the breath propel you forward. So inhale and use the strength of the breath to bring you back into lunge. Lean towards that chair into a kind of a side bend, looking behind yourself. And bringing the arms around to the front if that's comfortable. If you need blocks, that's fine. Try to keep long through both sides of the waist. Bringing your hands forward to the floor or back to the chair or blocks. And then exploring lifting that back knee if that's accessible to you. And if it is accessible, reaching into the space behind you with the heel when you're up. And then dropping the back knee, leaning into the back and straightening the front leg to a runner stretch. And again, if that leg is soft enough for you to come and sit on the back leg, you can, or you just stay up. Breathe and notice any restriction in the breath. If you're sitting on the back leg, swinging it around to the front. If you're closer to all fours, bringing the front leg back to an all fours position to come out. And then let's see. I want to return to Tadasana. So let's come to all fours. Find that core sensation again that can lead and pull you up. It's kind of like somebody just grabs you around your waist as you're there in a bear hug and pulls you up around your waist. So find that inner upper lift into downward dog. Good, and then just take your time and do this however you want. You can walk your hands to your feet, or you can walk your feet to your hands, or any variation in between. Keep your legs nice and bent. And bend your knees deep, keeping your belly attached to your thighs as best you can. Okay, so as you deepen through the bend of the knees come under the trunk, and that's what allows you to lift with the strength of the legs as you come up to standing. So finding your Tadasana again, and just getting a sense of how the body feels now after everything we've done so far. Notice any sensation around the hips. Do they feel different? Do they feel freer, looser? Allow yourself to ground through the feet, so nice and heavy and wide through the feet. Stacking the bones. Heavy tool belts at the hips. Lengthening through the spine upward at the same time your feet are grounding down. Breathe. We're going to do a series of side bends here. So first we're just going to take the arms, the elbows rather, up towards the ceiling to the side. So it's kind of like you're a chicken. Okay. And from here, we're just going to bend to one side. So really reach up with the opposite elbow, reach upward, and let that be more the bend. Good. Hold, breathe. And when you exhale, you'll come back to the center. And then go the other way. So that elbow reaches up. Might go further this side, might not go as far, so be aware of that need. And exhale back, release. Okay, this time we'll take the arms up and then bring them down into cactus shape. And side bend, hands in cactus. So this one, just notice if you feel it differently. This one I feel more in my neck when I bend. And exhale up. And other side. Exhale up. Good. Release the arms. Take a deep breath, just feel the response. And take the arms overhead again. Now, you might not be able to see me, so I'm going to come down for a second. We're going to grab hold of the wrist with one hand and then lean away towards the wrist gripped hand. Or away from the wrist gripped hand, I should say. Breathe here, keep reaching upward, even as you ground through the feet. This is a really good place to feel that grounding and that lift at the same time. And exhale up. Switch your hands and then the other way. Again, stay grounded through both feet, equal weight. The tendency is to lean off one foot or the other. Reach up even as you ground down and feel that tool belt around the waist. Good. Exhaling up. And releasing the arms. Deep breath. Actually, take a few of those. Okay, good work. Let's come down to the floor again. And onto your backs. So as you arrive for the first time on our backs tonight, give yourself lots of time to readjust and to let go here with the knees bent. If you have any jitteriness through the groin from the stretching that we did there, just let your knees fall in towards themselves and separate your feet a little wider to allow that. Let the back body release. So we worked on the back body a lot. You might be feeling it. I am. All those little muscles around each vertebra. Let it start to let go. Let your shoulders drop back towards the ground. Check in with your feet. Are you connected, or is there something pulling away or just floating away? As your breath regulates and becomes slower and deeper, Just allow that exhalation to take you more towards the floor. And then at your own pace, just straighten one leg slowly. Feel that final moment of that groin space opening, reaching maybe away with the toes or the balls of the feet as you lengthen. Let the heels come back towards the body. And then the second leg, lengthening slowly, feeling that opening through the groin. Good. And feel that final release into the floor in Shavasana. If you need a blanket or anything, get yourself comfy. Just take a scan of your physical body. Notice physical sensations. And then take a scan of your emotional body and notice any emotions or if there are any residue from earlier emotions today. And just let that dissolve into this space of rest. And then take a scan of the mental body and note whether your mind feels agitated or full of thoughts, or if it's quiet and without judgment. So whatever's there is there.
And then just let go of effort. Let go of doing. And just let yourself be. Starting to bring some movement back into the body, slowly, gently. And you guys know what to do. You can long body stretch if you want to feel that opening. You can bring everything in and hug your knees if you need that coming together. Falling off to one side or the other, resting in a fetal position. It's all dark where you guys are. I can't see you anymore. Ah. Take your time to sit upright. One thing that's always fascinated me is how certain wisdoms can be found in all traditions. What came to mind as I was thinking of Ahimsa again was the Bible phrase, which it surprises me I can remember, but whatsoever you do to the least of your brothers, that you do unto me. It's the same thing, regardless of the religion or the system. So there's that to me points to a very deep truth. So let's rub our hands together and bring them to the chest. Deep breath in. Hello, puppy. And release the breath. And let's tone Om Shanti to close. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Thank you. Thank you. Feel free to unmute.